All right. How's it going?
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
So,
So we're trying to figure this out as we go.
uh,
We're having a hard time hooking up microphones and stuff.
oh yeah, how come?
I don't know. How come, Gary? Yeah, we don't know.
Just the microphone's not coming through? Oh,
Yeah, you can hear us. Dan was on here just a little bit ago. He said he was having the same issue, so he's gonna try and restart everything.
So you think it might be the Blab site itself causing the problem?
Yeah, it's I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm guessing because it's still in beta, it's obviously got its issues.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So Dan should be getting on here in the next little bit.
Cool.
But yeah, no. Basically, once you get up and running, Gary, basically what this whole Blab test thing that we were working on here is for just talk about Anime Studio in general. I guess kind of where it's at and where, as users, where we would like to see it go. Just some pretty cool news as of recent with Victor being on the team.
Yeah, that was cool to hear.
I can definitely see some pretty awesome advancements there as far as giving his feedback onto the developers. So I'm pretty psyched about that for sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So what I was going to use as kind of reference as well is the Lost Marble Forum. I guess just to pick topics to start talking about concerning that. Let's see here. Under Help Shape the Future of Anime Studio, there's always, I don't know if you've ever gone through. And by the way, do you go, I know you are the Crave, but do you go by D or what is your name?
You call me D, I kind of like that.
D?
But, call me Doug, though. That's my name.
Well, what was it?
Doug.
Oh, Doug. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you've gone through here, Doug, on the Lost Marble Forum, and you just looked at the different feature requests.
I've scrolled through it a little bit.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's never seemed all that inviting. The Lost Marble Forum.
Oh.
Too much information, and I don't know. Everybody's been pretty friendly, but just I don't know. The format is not very approachable.
Right. Yeah.
It's good to have it though. I mean, thank God it was there.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It definitely has a lot of useful information. It's just hard to find the right.
I think that's what I meant. Yeah.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah. So you were looking at the requested features, or?
Yeah, just under the. I'll see if here. Let me see if I can link it in the little chat window we got here.
All right.
Help shape the future. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I guess we could talk about like this version. I mean, what were you expecting personally out of Anime Studio 11? Like, when did you join again, Anime Studio?
Oh, I think 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pretty early on. I don't know. It might have been 6, might have been 7. But it just keeps getting better and better. I think the big surprise for me about 11 was frame by frame.
Yeah, definitely.
That was quite a little thrill. I think they've got some bugs to work out with it, but it's cool to have that.
Yeah, for sure.
Nodding in agreement.
Yeah,
you got to fix that guy's He's got good things to say. I know. Get the bugs out.
There you go. Spray some of that on your Mac there. No, if you anything you want to join into, Gary,
just better and better. Like every new iteration just seems to top the other one by so much more. Like 10 was so much better than 9, and 11's just another huge leap.
Yeah, for sure. It was funny. I kind of shared my story. It's on my I can't think of what it's called. The little anyway, it's on some website. But I started with Anime Studio Pro 7.
Okay.
And it's funny how I came about it. My dad, was sitting at the kitchen table. I remember I was doing like homework or something. I was like 17 or something. And he gave me this little disc as like a little sleeve with the Anime Studio 7, pops it down on the table, and I was like, Dad, what the heck is this? I was kind of like one of those punk kids. I was like, what is this? And he's like, look at it. And I was like, okay. So I looked at it and I was like, anime. And like right away, like I know there's a lot of big fans of anime people and stuff like that, which is totally cool. I was into Pokemon up until I saw Pokemon the TV show. And then I saw like all the faces and stuff, my favorite Pokemon that I imagined on the Pokemon cards they would make. And I'm like, what? This is what the Pokemon look and act like? And ever since then, I was just completely turned off by anime. That's just me personally. But when I got that CD, I was like, Dad, what is this? You know, I don't like anime. And he said something under his breath and like walked away and just kind of was just like, oh, this kid.
Wait. Under his breath.
What did he, I don't know. It's like something like, when are you ever going to grow up? Or what are you going to do with your life? Or something like that. So that was when it started. And then I remember I put it in the computer and I like fiddled around with it a little bit. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like at that time of my life, I did not have discipline whatsoever. So it wasn't until 9.5 that I picked it up again.
Yeah, that was a good
smokes. Yeah, exactly. I think that's when they came out with the smartphones. Is that right? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember it just getting a lot better than 9. Even 9.5 was a huge improvement over 9.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you something? Being called Anime Studio, that worked against the product for you when you started? Like the name itself kind of put you off?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't know why. The kids, I think some of the kids are drawn to it because they like the anime. But they're quickly kind of turned off because it's not like an automatic anime tool, whatever they think it's going to be. And the kids who I think might be drawn to it as an animation tool are a little put off by the animation.
Yeah.
Especially some of the sample artwork that they used to include with it back in 6 and 7.
Oh,
yeah.
I remember 7. It was that little boy on the cover.
Yeah, that's right. With that spiky hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Messed around a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then just like completely threw it away. I was just like done with it.
You know what though? The Jai, is that the character's name from 9.5? That was kind of neat. As soon as I saw that, I thought, okay, they're making an attempt to kind of reach out to artists now. Right? Yeah. I think. Would you think that maybe it started as kind of a product to get sort of general consumers into animation? There you go. Can we see that again, Gary?
Let's see that work of beauty. Oh,
that wasn't too bad. 6. Look at that.
Wow, that was. Oh, I thought that was the box. Okay, that's a book. Nice.
Wow. Cybex.
All the way back from 6.
I didn't think you could write that much about Anime Studio. That's a lot. I don't know, but if you wrote out all of your tutorials there, McCoy, you'd probably have a big book.
Yeah, probably.
So I don't know. I think Anime Studio's kind of matured over the years, and it's now starting to look really professional and really sharp. I think the professionals are starting to recognize maybe Maya, After Effects. Like it's starting to feel more like a grown-up tool.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
yep.
I don't know.
And do either of you two? Do you have experience? I was looking in here too, Gary. There is a Foo plugins that just joined. I don't know who that is. I don't know. I'm terrible with these. It looks like I don't know if Dan Drake is back, but yeah, no. With have you tried anything with Toon Boom or anything like that? Either of you two, like the other softwares?
Gary, you use Toon Boom?
Sounds like he said he tried. It sounds like he said he tried. But it was yeah. That's the main thing that I've heard too. Like I actually looked into it like a lot, looked at a lot of the tutorials, and once they got into that pegging system, I was just like, yeah, basically that. Yep, 4 or 5 node system just to move the camera.
Yeah, but you know, it's got a lot of street cred. That's the thing. I mean, the kids go to Wikipedia and they'll see lists and lists of cartoons that are made in Toon Boom, and they say, why are we not using this? Like, this seems to be the product. But
Yep.
I don't know. I've tried Toon Boom. I was put off by it. I don't know. Seems to be designed with sort of people who are trained in traditional animation techniques. Oh, we got Dan Drake joining us.
Dan, what is up? Are you there? I don't know. It was giving him issues a little bit before, so he's probably trying to. There he is.
Hey,
Can
Dan.
you hear me?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Sweet.
So you can
Yeah, we
hear
were
me.
just talking about
Gary
how
says,
crappy it is. Just the complications of Toon Boom, and yeah, no, and that's something that was really cool. And even when I was talking to Tom over the Hangout, is he's also messed around with Toon Boom too, and it's the bone features that I think has sold a lot of these converts that go from Toon Boom to Anime Studio.
Okay.
Which is huge. I mean, when you think about it, like frame by frame animation, that's some rough stuff, and that's where Anime Studio definitely has the one up as far as what it's good at, which is, what do they call it? They call it like puppet animation or something like that.
In Toon Boom?
No, the Anime Studio. I don't know. I always hear it referred to as like puppetry or puppet animation or something like that. Armature. Okay.
Armature, yeah, like rigged animation, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Toon Boom's got that now, I think, isn't it? The latest version? Just added.
I think so. But what's funny, I think it's like, well, with a lot of these software, it's kind of like Anime Studio, as if you're setting the origin point in the joint, and you're rotating the layer. That's how a lot of them work, like After Effects. So it's
Flash added, I think, with CS5, right? The bones. And I used to teach that, and I was happy to get the bones, but there are a lot of limitations with the bones in Flash. Like you can either bend geometry all as one piece, or you can have separate shapes attached each to a bone, but you can't combine the two, right?
Yep.
Asinine. It doesn't work. It's for really simple animation.
Yeah. I also took a Flash class. College, just in semester. And we just learned basically the programming aspect of it, which wasn't bad. I can't remember what Flash programming is called. I don't remember.
The programming?
ActionScript. Yep. And it's pretty cool. I mean, I was able to make a video game, but in that class, I remember I tried doing nothing but doing the animation because I was in the process of learning Anime Studio. Worst semester of my life because I was learning Anime Studio and learning Flash at the same time. Keyboard shortcuts, everything. It doesn't mix. And then like symbols and the, what do they call it? Like symbols and media or video or something to set different properties.
Oh, the 3 symbols and the properties. And it's a programming environment, I think, right?
Yeah.
Gary's saying that he abandoned Flash in 2004, 2005, right? And
I gave up
says he never wanted to do Flash again. What's that? You abandoned
I gave up on it in 2002.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, I thought it was teaching me that I was bad at animation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and has everyone seen Dan's stuff? He's got really, like, when I was first starting out, Dan, you remember helping me when I was first starting out?
With your ball head character.
With my bald head character. Yeah, no, I struggled. I still am not that great at Anime Studio, but I struggled like a lot, and Dan was a huge help. He's got some really cool stuff. How's your Kickstarter doing, by the way, Dan? Or the however it was.
It was Indiegogo. It was successfully funded, but they didn't ask for enough, and it's kind of we're limping along. Things are happening, but slowly.
What's the name of Indiegogo, Dan?
Let's see if I can find
it here.
Yeah, just go ahead and link it to us. Hey, Gary, have you figured out how this Twitter feed thing works? Is that your Twitter feed? On the left side there? It says
tell
a little bird. I don't know what that means.
What was the
I'm
tweet?
frightened of all of this. So, like, I haven't sent my first tweet ever, and I'm afraid now everything that I do is going to.
I get like all these followers from like almost like pornographic like Twitter profiles. I'm just like, crap. delete, reject, stop following.
Like pornographic anime studio creators?
No, not even anime studio. Just like half naked girls liking my stuff and following my stuff. I don't know. It's weird.
I don't get any of that.
That's good. That must be my logo. It must be very revealing.
Probably the logo.
Exactly.
I wish we could get Gary up and talking. He's got a lot of good things to say in the chat feed here.
Yeah, I know.
It's like you're like Harpo Marx. You're the quiet one with the good things to say. Done dirty. Dudes. Anyway.
Let's see, what else was I going to mention?
Well, you know, I'm interested in the whole anime studio. Should it be called anime studio thing? I mean, that is something that's always kind of, because I'm not sure it works in the company's favor for the reasons that you point out. And I know they got their brand ID and they couldn't really change it now, but I don't know if they rechristened it something else. Would it be taken more seriously? Or
so my question is, when did Smith Micro become, I guess, like the entity or the name under the umbrella of Anime Studio, or vice versa? Does anyone know?
Gary says 07.
2007? Okay.
Yeah. You used it back when it was called Moho, right? Yeah.
Way before. Yeah.
It was Moho before that. So you said Crazy Talk Animator, Adobe Character Animator 2. Oh, they're worse names. Okay, yeah. All right. I get your point. Yeah, Crazy Talk Animator.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah. Toon Boom is a silly name.
Yeah.
For being the industry standard, it's a pretty damn silly name.
Definitely.
I don't know. E-Frontier used to have anime studios. Are they they were the ones who developed it? No. Lost Marble.
Oh, wow. Lost Marble into E-Frontier under Moho. Then, wow, okay.
That's right. Okay. And I guess Smith Micro just sort of bought it and absorbed it like they do a lot of, yeah. Yeah, they've got the weirdest software catalog ever.
Yeah, they do. I think, who was it you, Gary, that was just talking about Manga Studio and what was the mix-up between, yeah. See, that's not even Anime Studio, or I guess the developers of Anime Studio, was it? It was just a Japanese software?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I thought it was, because it was all under the umbrella of Smith Micro. I thought it was all kind of the same developers and everything.
See, I think that is one of the things that ropes, or if you have a background interest in anime, what they're probably looking for is something different. The style of art you can do anything in, and it is probably off-putting to have Anime Studio called what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I don't know. I've gotten used to it now.
Yeah. I think we all have.
It is better than Toon Boom.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like
ASP
is cool, though. You guys call it ASP on the forum. I like that.
ASP.
Yeah, I'm ASP.
Yeah, maybe they need to do like KFC. There's no Kentucky Fried Chicken. We're just going to call it KFC. It stands for what it stands for, and
well, it's like Fruity Loops, right? Fruity Loops is FL Studio, right? Fruity Loops used to be just Fruity Loops, and now it's FL Studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, for similar reasons, I think, right? So
right.
I don't know. ASP double entendre with Asperger's. Yeah, you need for those keyframes, no question at all.
I wish what they would do is implement what Adobe After Effects has for their layer setup to the kind of like the layers would be the channel to the keyframes. I think that'd be really sweet.
How do you mean?
So with After Effects, it has like your layers where the Anime Studio channels are at. So if they'd switch that where the layers are what the channels are, okay, that doesn't make any sense.
Kind of getting it.
Phrase that. But just basically how After Effects has the layers, and then to the right has the timeline. You know what I mean?
Yep.
When he goes to anime, yeah, okay. I know that wasn't really making sense. That wasn't very, very clear. But yeah. So how they have it, I think that's pretty sweet because I like the way After Effects timeline. Everything works there compared to Anime Studio. I think that'd be.
The timeline gets kind of muddled in Anime Studio. Like it's pretty get lost.
Yeah, like we were saying with the channels and the keyframes. I mean, for the life of me, for the first, I don't know how long it was. I think it was like the first 4 or 5 months. I did not know the bone that you selected was the little red highlighted channel. I did not know that for the longest time. So I'd have like all these floating movements that everyone has where it's just like slow motion, one arm, and everything's moving fine. You're like, what is wrong with that arm? And you're like trying to figure out what's going on. You're adjusting keyframes and it's screwing more stuff up. That took me forever to figure out that red highlighted keyframe deal. So that was
Gary's saying that it's sleek. Says at first it wasn't intuitive, but he finds it sleek.
Yep.
Now, yeah,
it's a good way to put it.
I haven't used Manga Studio at all. Do you know any people who do like work? Does it work well with designing characters in that program and then bringing it into Anime Studio? Are the drawing tools similar, or is it?
Gary could maybe speak.
I know Gary's been using it a lot. I have it, but it's like EX4, and I don't know. I was using GIMP at the time, which is nothing for drawing.
No, I feel like that's one of the things that I see most of the time. We're back on Lost Marble. I mean, ongoing conversations of the drawing tools in Anime Studio, and they've definitely gotten better. But I think also people just gradually get used to them if they're serious about using it, as opposed to it's just a different idea and a different approach to trying to set something up. And I guess I don't really know how much these people are really abandoning the old ways versus just gradually learning a new way to do something.
Yeah.
I guess if the new way is better, like if it's really better and offers advantages, then people are drawn to it. Gary's saying that that Manga Studio is a little too complex for characters, and he uses it for backgrounds. And then he can layer bind with manga characters, but you're losing mobility because you're stuck with the layer binds, right? He actually prefers drawing in Anime Studio Pro, likes the vector style for characters in ASP, and it works well style-wise if you put effort into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not really drawn to go to another package to draw either. I like the way sometimes I'll even do like just plain old artwork in Anime Studio, and then it's kind of a bitch to get it out if you want to keep it as a vector, right? It's like crazy to get it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of fun, and it does become intuitive when you practice it a little bit.
Yeah. It was. I don't know how long it took you guys to get the hang of the drawing tools of Anime Studio, but holy cow, like that was probably the most off-putting things was that learning curve alone, trying to figure out the drawing tools. But yeah, now all the time, that's like all I draw in.
Well,
I used to hand draw all the time.
For me, I think it's offsetting something else that you're used to for most people. If you're a big fan of Illustrator, if that's what you do for drawing, it's not going to translate that well. Even though it's much simpler, you have to kind of unlearn some stuff. And that's always been weird to me because I've always thought that it was easier to draw in Anime Studio than a lot of other programs because it's grab a point, pull it where you want it. You draw the same way you animate. And that was, I mean, even in your talk the other day with Tom, that he was saying that Flash wasn't quite as intuitive to him. I don't know. He was specifically talking drawing versus animation, but for some reason, Anime Studio tapped into something that just made sense to me. And maybe it's just about, I don't think it's wise for the program to try to mimic other things because they are trying to. I mean, there's a reason behind the drawing tools being the way they are.
Yeah.
It's to keep it simple. To less points is better once you get around to animating. It's not a drawing software. Mm-hmm. It's an animation software. So if you can replicate your artwork with less points, it's going to be that much easier in your next step.
Hell yeah. Who was saying when I was talking about importing Illustrator and exporting Illustrator, and how many crazy points? Gary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who you were talking to. But I've seen that.
Yeah, like millions of points everywhere, like so much detail. Distortion out the wazoo, he says. Absolutely.
I would say but that's the burden of Anime Studio then. If they could somehow come up with a way to translate it, and I mean I don't know enough about the programming side of it. I'm not a scripter. I'm mostly just using and experimenting with things. I actually don't know what it doesn't seem like it's like there's way more points than there are in Illustrator if you try to import something directly.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't know what causes that in the programming. It's because there's less information per point because each point in Illustrator has the curve handles or something like that.
Oh yeah, you need more points to emulate the curve because it doesn't have the handles. So you need 2 or 3 points per point to make that curve maybe.
So what we as artists would do in drawing in Anime Studio, we're changing the curvature settings, which is what the handles would do. Mm-hmm. And then the only way it can import that is like, I guess I don't understand how that process works from a programming standpoint. Even if someone explained it to me, I probably wouldn't. But if that could be improved in the future, just even saying this was a piece of artwork that I did in Illustrator and have it look like the same number of points when you pull it in to Anime Studio would probably go a long way for artists who are interested in working with the program.
Yeah, especially if they're trained in Illustrator, right? Which they likely would be.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if you could set up what they have with Photoshop, right? Where you could edit something in Illustrator and then have it update in Anime Studio and have that kind of constant updating. That would be amazing.
Right.
Maybe that's not possible.
I don't know.
Would you do that? Would you do that if you could, Dan? Like, would you work in Illustrator if you had that option?
Well, actually, now I probably wouldn't, but I've gotten very used to working with Anime Studio. I have some other graphic design isn't I don't do that for work, and so I just do what I need to do to make it look the way I want. Graphic designers being like, "You're crazy." I'm like, well, if I can make the same artwork and it's all vector based, what difference does it make? Yeah. If you're not doing it for an industry standard, it's not passed along to someone else. It really doesn't make a difference. I have no idea if there's in the newer versions, can you export to an Illustrator format for someone else to use?
From Anime Studio?
Yeah. Just save this file as a vector Illustrator file.
No, I don't think you can.
Because it probably turn out really, really strange.
Yeah.
But the imports turn out really strange, so.
No, you can export animation as a single frame, and you can throw it out as a Flash file.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you can import it into Flash and then export it from Flash into like a really old version of Illustrator. And it kind of works. If you really feel the need. Yeah. I don't know. What about you, Gary? Would you, if you had a better pipeline between Illustrator and Anime Studio, would you use that?
Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
Happy with the drawing in ASP.
And that's the thing. Like once you figure out, just like everyone else was saying, once you figure out the tools, I mean, you're basically going to be set in stone with the software that you're using. I mean,
I guess so.
Yeah, once you get through the quirks and everything. I mean, obviously, Illustrator, it might have different. I don't know. Actually, you know what? Vector for Illustrator. I haven't used it personally. I've used a little bit of Inkscape. Does it have like a type of vector brushes as well for Illustrator?
Does it? Yeah.
It does? Okay. So, I mean, yeah, I guess it's just personal preference. But obviously, yeah, it would be awesome for those that use the flagship of anything design, which is Adobe products. If you could use that for those that always illustrate in Adobe Illustrator and can animate in Anime Studio, I mean, yeah, I think that'd be awesome. And like that's where I'm excited personally about Anime Studio. Is I look at all these other programs, like yeah, you got Toon Boom that could basically do pre-production, production, and post-production all in one software. But Anime Studio, I mean, it started off pretty small, and it's been kind of it's listed in like the top 3 2D animation softwares. I mean, it's starting to make its name for sure.
Where's that list? Where's that list?
Well, there's not really.
He's writing it right now.
Yeah, exactly. No, there is
my first tweet. I will say that Anime Studio just made the top 2.
That's right. Put it in there. That's the source. CNN will pick that up.
I mean, like when I was first looking into Anime Studio, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool, but there has to be something better. I'd search top 2D animation software. Obviously, those websites haven't been updated since that time, which is probably like 5 years, because I don't know, it's not really a big topic, but it's up there for like all these different websites that are rating the top 3. Even like people who ask questions on Yahoo, whoever does that these days, they do get a response back saying, hey, yeah, it's Anime Studio or Flash or Toon Boom is the way to go whenever you're looking for something 2D. Or they say like Digital or something that was free but is no longer even supported. So
I'm so excited by that. I know maybe I sound like I excite pretty easily, but it's so cool to see. It feels like Anime Studio is finally blowing up after all of these years of kind of believing in the product. And that's why I'm so excited to be part of the group, is because I see like real animators like you guys doing real stuff in this program. And that, I don't know, makes me a little smug. I go into school and I say, you see, you little, it's real. It's real.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Well,
exactly.
I've heard that too. Just like, what's this program you're using? It's like, don't you feel like you should be getting more experience with industry standard software? And like, well, no, we're going to make it industry standard.
Exactly.
Yeah. Says the other software is like $3,000, right?
Yeah.
Students at least wouldn't want to pay $3,000 for other software. Oh, they just pirate stuff. They just steal it anyway. They steal whatever they want. They have zero morality, many of them.
Oh my gosh. All the time. Okay, so since I have like all these people asking me questions all the time, one of the most questions that I get is, can I get a serial number for Anime Studio? It's always in my private messages. I'm just like, no. I'm like, freaking leave me alone. Can I get a serial number? Can I get a serial number? I'm like, holy heck.
You're probably nicer to them in that response than sometimes the follow-up threads on like Lost Marble. I mean, they'll just trounce on people. I don't know. But you've got enough people now, so you're getting more of that. They're the weirdos to show up that have shitty comments. There are the people who are, I don't know what they're doing. They're passing off other people's work as their own. I'm sure that happened before on the forums, but it wasn't so easy to trace, or I don't know. All just social media kind of makes it easier to track back and be like, wait, you're not responsible for this. And also maybe enough people are using the software. Like, I've seen this before. You can't have created this. I saw that a month ago by someone I know.
Funny story. So does anyone remember Garung Patel? I think his name was.
Oh, the guy from a couple of months ago.
Hey, bros. And he would always like his own pictures, his own animations, his own comments. He'd go through and like everything that he would post. That guy has entered the group 4 different times with a different profile name. He's like, he is, I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny. Me and Neely were talking about that because Neely's always the one that can point him out and be like, hey, you know the guy that just joined with no friends and
that's that guy.
Well, I don't know who, because now it's like you got to, like you were saying before, people usernames and you don't know necessarily who you're talking to on different platforms. But if you've followed the Lost Marble forums for a while, I can't remember the closest thing to his real name, but his flagship project, the Scaby Babies, or Cootie Kids.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
that went on for
that thread got locked. I saw that thread got locked. It got so bad.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Oh, there they are. Oh dear.
Oh my gosh. And that's what people see. That's the sad thing, is that's what people see.
Right. And you bump it to the top of the thread, and
they're like, okay, yeah, so let's go to the Anime Studios forum, which isn't that appealing, for one.
Goodness.
And like, oh my gosh, this is what people see. But no, yeah, that guy, he, speaking of thieves and pirates and all that stuff, he would take animations from that very group and people that are members of other animation groups, he would post their work saying it's his own. And he's been trying to join this stinking group like 5 different times through different aliases or profiles or whatever the heck he's trying to do. Gosh.
So what does he want to achieve? What's his end game?
I have no clue. I have absolutely no clue. I'm like, how, you persistent little bugger. Like, how do you... I don't know. I couldn't figure it out for the life of me.
Trolling you? Is it just for the lulz?
Yeah.
Or is he's working his way up? He's going to steal bigger and bigger properties until finally he steals like a
I don't know.
like a DreamWorks movie, and then he'll be huge.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally did that movie.
This sort of thing is tricky and strange, and I now you have a much more integrated world where people can chat like this and share their work from any country. But there's been a long-standing industry, like film industry has people who literally have to take Hollywood budget films and then reuse clips from them, but change the rest of the story. So they got like I don't even know. There's a guy that I know, or not, I don't know him, but he's from my hometown, that did a YouTube series on this kind of foreign film industry. They don't have the budget to make Titanic, but Titanic wouldn't sell there as a film. So they kind of have their own world where they make their own story behind it, put these different characters, and then use these really wide shots of Titanic and then pretend that the whole story is set on a historical ship that sinks. But they don't have the backing of overall, like the money behind it, so they have to steal and borrow from things that are already popular in the U.S. Because they're like proven successes, and that's what their film industry is kind of built around. And I find it fascinating. I also, it's like now you worry about copyright laws and all these different things and people stealing stuff, but they're just at their start and trying to get something going, and they don't have enough industry to even try something new. They have to intersperse I watched one that was somehow a mixture of the whole 9 yards. That was the plot line, and The Matrix. And if you can figure out how that makes sense to an American audience, it wouldn't. Yeah. That's what they needed to kind of merge together with their own sort of independent pieces here and there. It's very off topic, but
that's what Garang was doing. I guarantee it.
the end game and the motivation behind it is already. I mean, it's hard to tell. Some people are just trolls. That's the other.
Yeah. Yeah. But you suggest that there might be something legitimate in it if, like, these are production companies that can't afford to make their own movies. So
Yeah.
they're trying to create something of quality that they can only attain by stealing or borrowing, repurposing, I guess, is the word Shia LaBeouf uses, right? When he steals stuff,
Sure.
allegedly.
No, but we're
Like he's making something new with the material that other people make.
yeah.
Tough call, but I don't know. I agree with McCoy that I don't think that's what this guy was doing, making something greater out of everybody's stolen animation.
Yeah, and I mean, I knew that would kind of happen as well. Like when I started, like I didn't know the group would get this big. It actually grew pretty quick within the first month, which was the really surprising part for me. But yeah,
how many people are in it now?
Let's see here. I don't know. I think it's like. Let me just check it real quick.
It's a metric shit ton.
That's how it is.
It's doing pretty well. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Every
other day you've got a welcome to the group, you know?
Yeah. Wait for the dang thing to load here. My internet is...
I'll be honest, I was glad when that tapered off a little bit, but...
Oh, yeah?
No, I mean, just because that was the message. There was like, I don't know, I'd get a notification. Like, oh, it's just...
You're like, gosh dang it, McCoy.
He's welcoming new people to the group. Okay. I thought my loved ones were contacting me.
No, it's not. Middle of the night, 2 a.m. Gosh.
Was it my girlfriend? No. Dang it. No, actually, going back to what Gary, you said that Anime Studio is the industry standard outside of America. No? He's like,
yes, maybe. I don't know sign language. Does he know sign language?
No, I'm pretty good at lip reading there, but I didn't catch that. Okay. Yeah, no, that is true, and that's actually something pretty cool. So the guys over in Ireland, I talked with him a little bit. His name's his name's just escaping me right now. John Peaboy.
That's the Punk and Rock guy?
Yeah, they did the Oscar on nominated film. I actually have it on Blu-ray, Song of the Sea, and then they did the Netflix one. I don't know if you guys seen it yet, but it's a little kids show, but solid work for Anime Studio. I mean, this is like Victor Paredes stuff, but stretched out for a TV show. Like, these are solid animators that are making a huge difference with this software. Puff and Rock. There we go. Thank you for that. Forgetting that name. So yeah, I mean, and that's so cool because there are literally people that will hire on these guys that I found out, especially this studio, obviously, is, hey, we'll hire you on if you know Anime Studio. I mean, I live in Arizona, and it's like animation isn't even popular in Arizona, let alone is there studios that'll hire you because you know Anime Studio. No one cares. So it's just like...
Someday, though.
Yeah.
You know, if this trend keeps up, maybe it, you know. But I agree. Gary says he wants to see the rigs. They're mixing smart bones and switch layers and want to see how it works. Yeah.
I've talked to him. He says that's definitely a possibility. Do that.
Count me in on that.
Yeah, because it was more of, okay, if you have questions, I'll answer your questions type of thing is basically how he related to me. And then I think he even posted it on the group as well. Mm-hmm. If you have questions, anything regarding this, obviously it has to stay within their guidelines or whatever as far as what they want to reveal is IP or whatever they would call it, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so that's actually a possibility of being able to see. Because when I was watching that video walkthrough of how they made their characters and everything, I was like, holy crap. I like just was in awe watching over and over again how smooth those rigs were.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
beautiful.
That's Gary.
They do their whole. Is the whole workflow done in Anime Studio, like the whole thing, except for the rendering, right?
Yeah, everything. But like there was some like Photoshop backgrounds, obviously, But a lot of it, when it was first being made, I don't know if you saw this, Dan, but it was all on the forum. And this guy, he was really excited about it. And at the time, it said it was all done in Anime Studio, besides like paint brushes and stuff like that, like different little details. But almost all of that is Anime Studio. Yep. Which is incredible.
They use Anime Studio Pro brushes, which also scare me, says Gary.
Yeah. I mean, I've never even used the brushes, so
I played with them for a couple of solid couple. Some weird things that they do, like they don't always blend, and they kind of do weird angles and bend at weird places. You have to be really careful with them, or they can look ugly. I have to get used to paint style brushes. What I make is always ugly.
Same here. That is totally fine. But
have you guys tried to make your own brushes in ASP?
I heard you can do that. I haven't figured out how to do it. I'm not quite tech savvy about importing. I don't even know where the heck I'm supposed to drop the dang files.
Oh, it's so easy. You just make an Anime Studio file, and if you want it to be like a multi-layer one, I think you have just more than one layer. So if you want to spray more than one shade, and then you just save it in the brushes folder in the library, I think, or the resources folder.
Obviously saves it as a vector. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's just an Anime Studio file.
Okay. No, that's crazy. I mean, obviously you guys been on the last Marvel forum. You've seen what's his name? Hey Vern. His stuff that he does for scripts and stuff.
Right.
I wish I could program, man. I would program me so much stuff.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Any of you guys programmers?
I've dabbled.
I actually, there were a couple times when I had an idea and then went to Vern. And he later that night popped something out. And I'm like, he's been a lifesaver with some of those things. And they're really simple things. And now they've become shareable scripts.
We're even implementing the actual upgrades.
Well, I mean, the one that was very specific to a project that I was working on before was still pretty straightforward, but it just wasn't part of the program. I don't know if it still is because it maybe doesn't, or if it's been integrated yet because it's not for everyone. But it was the idea that someone could take, instead of using something like Papagayo and doing lip sync and that sort of thing, they could use a switch layer and program that. The export switch layer DAT file. I had someone else working on that. And if you could import that and export it from within Anime Studio, it always had the import because the DAT file was part of what Papagayo did. And that's what you're pulling in. But it never had, does it have anything now where you can, actually, I'm not even sure. They might have implemented it for something more useful, which was export keyframes from a specific layer. But the idea is they just had to be set up the same way. So as long as you had a switch layer for mouths that had the same, shapes in there, it's essentially just a text file that says, if you open the text file, it's a down the row, here's a frame, and here's what that switch layer we're referencing is called. And that's what it reads from the program. That's what it spits out. And it just so far wasn't in the program to export it that way. It was, I don't know, for all I know, he just looked at some of the scripting of Papagayo and said, I'll just plug that in here.
Yeah, no, that's
really straightforward, but again, I have no knowledge of how to do that. And it's like, hey, you're good at scripting. What would it take for this and like before he responded to what it would take, he had the script and shared it with me.
Wow.
So I was like, all right. Well, good
it's like,
friends.
100 lines of script, no problem.
Yeah, good friends to have here.
There you go.
Yeah. No, and I remember even this conversation with you, Dan, as far as all these guys on the forum are just incredible. And It's kind of sketchy because this has been done. I mean, no doubt it's okay because it's a small thing right now, but something that I've kind of talked a little bit with the Facebook administrator of the Facebook page of Anime Studio is they kind of just take whatever and they'll just post it on their own websites and stuff. And you're just like, wait, what? I mean, you can reach out to me. That's pretty cool if you do that ahead of time. But I mean, there's been times where I'll reach out to them, but like, hey, here's an idea that I have. But it's kind of interesting that sometimes there's stuff being posted on their Facebook page and the user or the creator doesn't even know. I've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same way with these guys that are doing the scripting. They'll implement it into Anime Studio's next version, and you're like, I wonder if they ever got credit for that. I don't remember see their name on the About section here. I don't know. It's kind of a little interesting. And I mean, I would have to say that's definitely not on Mike Clifton's side. I'm Smith Micro. I mean, they're the runners of this whole thing. So
yeah,
and I don't know how it was beforehand, but
it'll be interesting to see what. I guess I don't know what the titles are, and if Victor's more directly involved with.
Yeah, he's like product management. He's got like a couple titles, but I'm super excited for that. Because the other thing too is having Victor as the admin. I mean, he's the coolest guy to talk to. He's hilarious. I understand him in Spanish, and whenever he speaks English too, hilarious. I mean, he's an overall just really chill, down to earth guy, willing to answer questions and everything. He's been really cool.
No, so, it was great because I got to meet him in person. He came to our hometown because we have an animator here who
so just laughing at Gary's comments.
Yeah.
He says Victor should be the mascot vectorized in version 12.
That'd be awesome. I would love to design his character.
But I didn't know that Anime Studio was even a big enough thing that there was any kind of conference being scheduled. But I happen to be part of a group here, like an offshoot, like a Champagne Movie Makers from our hometown. So I know some of those people, and somewhere not quite in their wheelhouse, but some affiliate set this thing up, and there's an animator here, fairly well-known, Nina Paley, who was basically the instigator behind it, which is she has always used Flash. She got frustrated by some of the new Adobe software changes, and then was experimenting a little bit with Anime Studio. Apparently, she had enough pull to be able to say, like, reach out on the forum or find someone, and she found Victor. And was like, hey, you fly into Champagne and give a talk to some people here, and yeah, that's online. When he visited here, and I didn't know about it until like a week before that was happening, and I'm like, wait, Victor, wait, that's a name I know. Who? What's happening? And I'm like, well, I have to go to that.
Yeah.
Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
Dude, who was the guy that was freaking snoring like 30 minutes in?
That was not me.
Oh my goodness. I was like, how can you sleep through that, dude?
No, I would have been off to the right side. I think there's probably some point of the video you can see me sitting in a chair, but I don't think I talked much during it because it was also, I was relatively new to the program then, but he also wasn't talking about anything new about the program that I didn't already know, except for new features that were going to be in 10, or basically what I didn't have the next release, and he was getting me excited about what the next, he was sharing a little bit of the, I actually talked to him later about it. He's like, yeah, you should upgrade. And I'm like, are you just saying that? Or are you just, but we got to talk about it enough.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that is neat.
Okay, so it looks like Gary just found the video there. Yeah, I saw that, and I think it's on his channel, if I remember right, on Victor's channel.
It's it's funny because now I feel like I'm being of the Champagne Film Society YouTube channel, his is still the most viewed of any video. And then there's a trailer for our Pens to Lens project. But my brainstorm video is the next down. It misses the mark by like a couple thousand views as being as popular as Victor's Anime Studio workshop. But I still feel proud of that.
Good work, man. Yeah, no, I remember watching that.
You beat Mr. Pancake.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking at the channel. That was the one that caught my eye.
Found
Mr. Pancake.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really cool. And I actually reached out. Horrible response. Okay, so this goes back to Smith Micro. I mean, don't get me wrong. All the developers and awesome people that I've been talking to, Mike Clifton, all them, they're awesome people. But any of the more corporate people through like Smith Micro, I'm just like, what is going on? I reached out to, I don't know who it was. It was on the Smith Micro website, just kind of contact us thing. And I basically just asked the question, just, hey, how many people are out there, like schools, like education systems using Anime Studio? And his response was something to the lines of, oh, well, anyone that you know, I would love to talk to and blah, 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 and bring them to Anime Studio. I'm like, what? I didn't even ask that. It was like a straightforward question with an easy answer turned around as to, yeah, bring us more business. And I was like, do you even listen to...
I'm trying to, but I could be your marketing team.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, oh my gosh. I was a little smart aleck before, I'll admit, before I established anything of my own. I would go on the Last Marvel Forum, like, I'd create threads of how to market Anime Studio better. And I'd just get, like, shot down by all the seasoned users on there. I'm like, okay, never mind, that wasn't a good idea. But just, like, my biggest gripe was that, starting out, was anime. And I was like, come on, seriously, anime? I mean, you get people that maybe don't like anime, or people that do like anime, they use the program, they're like, hey, this isn't anime. I can't use this for anime. And then they get mad, and it's like, where do you draw the line there? So, yeah. And I don't know. I think right now, what I was most like, not upset, I can't really say I was upset with anything, but something I wanted more of was better webinars. I mean, whenever Victor is on a webinar, like, I'm there easily. And the last few webinars that we've had have been awesome. And it's been Mitchie. She's the new one who's taken over. She's for webinars. I've been kind of in contact with her. I just let her know that she could post on my group if she wanted, because there's a new webinar coming out for simplifying your animation workflow in Anime Studio with, unfortunately, pre-made characters and backgrounds, which is cool for the new users, because now we got not so much focus on the character wizard anymore, because we know how much of a success that was, but now it's more of the pre-made characters that come with the software made by Victor and other well-known artists.
Some of those are good too, like Smokin'. I like almost all the models that came with 11, and most of them that came with 10. They're just really good. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Why are you laughing? Did you make them?
No, I was looking at Gary's character animator. His little comment that he made. At first, I thought he said wizard is greater than character design. Is first how I read it. Like, that's a good one. That's a good joke there.
Yeah, you're saying, Gary, you're saying that some sort of wizard to help with. I wouldn't mind some sort of I think I was talking earlier in the forum about how I'd like to have something that help create bones. Oh, Adobe Character Animator.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. No, I figured that's what it was the Adobe. Because Dan and I, we actually had a conversation on this on Facebook for, I think we were like talking for like an hour and a half or 2 hours or something, just about this subject, about Character Wizard, and we're just like, kill the dang thing. I remember I even started a thread also on the Lost Marvel forum, which also kind of got shot down. And I was like, hey, why don't they have users of the community create things, pre-made characters, simply because out of enjoyment, like hobbyists?
Yeah.
I mean, pick the good ones, obviously. I mean, you have to be, I guess, not that great if you can make your thumb up character like this, the little character wizard. I remember that was the first thing I noticed was their dumb thumbs on their hands. Yeah, they're just like, but it's like,
you know, it's an interesting combination because, like we were talking before, that if you're trying to sell a product and you're kind of presenting it as something that is easy to use, and I think it is easy to use. I think a lot of people can pick it up, and beginners can figure something out, and that's what I think Character Wizard is designed for, so that it's at least a positive for someone who doesn't know anything about animation, buys the software, and they're not like, I hate this. It's a lot of work to animate. The answer is, it is a lot of work to animate or animate well, but they present you with something that is usable. So if you just want to make a silly thing for your, for whatever project at home, it's doing a good job of that. And Character Wizard helps people do that. It helps people who aren't artists jump, you know, like what Tom was saying about like jumping into the animation portion. That's where a lot of the users come from. They don't want to have to develop strong characters with a lot of malleability, a lot of options. They just want to jump right into it. And maybe they don't have that talent background, but that doesn't mean the program itself should get rid of that idea.
Right.
But they're trying to market to such a wide range, and now the professional range is getting a little bit more interested because the capabilities it actually has, instead of like, well, no, it's like a puppeteering program with ugly looking characters. I would like to see something like if probably better at programming and art. I went in and tried to make my own sort of Character Wizard presets, like by manipulating files that are actually in the folder. So it's my art that's pulling up, but it's awkward because there's very little they let you mess around with other than the vector art itself. You can't really change the skeleton because that's all built on the in-program scaling and widths and things like that. So the skeleton's intact. If your art doesn't match up, and you can see some breakage and some weird things happen if you go really extreme with the stuff that's already built in and the style of the artwork for what you're picking and choosing. But I don't know, somewhere in between. But that probably is a big effort on the programming side for people that they probably never really needed to have. If you're not willing to go into the program and make the artwork yourself, to make it easier to do that and attach it to a Character Wizard, I don't think that's who they're tapping into. They're trying to say, if that's the best you're going to use it for, use Character Wizard.
Yeah.
And that's probably why it just stayed where it was, because it sticks out like a sore thumb. They look bad. You're not going to make a new. You're not going to make.
Maybe they need to just update it. Keep the same idea, but update it.
I would do the
better
design.
animations, better rigs, better artwork. You know, maybe that's all they need.
Yeah.
If they're going to keep that concept, like, you know, modernize it a little bit. That's been around for how long now? That wizard.
7, 8. I think it was 8, maybe. No, I've even offered to do it for free. I said, hey, I'd just to be more appealing to others. I mean, I'll put my own character designs in there if that's something that you want. Because, okay, so this is another thing that let's see here, Dan and I were talking about. Now that I just forgot it. Holy cow. Okay. Pass.
I'm glad it was such a meaningful conversation we had.
I was like just about to say it, and it's just like, gone. Okay, yeah, I totally forgot what I was going to say.
Well, you know what? That's a good chance for me to duck out. I don't work in the morning, so I'm sure you guys do too. It's going to be an early morning. My girlfriend gets up at 4:30 to work out, and I guess I'm on the hook to work out too.
Oh.
So,
I get up at 4:30.
5 hours from now. So really nice talking to you.
Yeah, it was good talking to you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Take care. Gary, sorry about the microphone situation. Maybe I'll hear your voice someday. Good night, guys.
See you later. Take it easy. Yeah. I don't remember what I was going to say, but it was concerning that and how we were just talking about. Oh yeah, and I actually wanted to let Dee to hear this, but that whole DreamWorks thing, where Smith Micro shot down DreamWorks using Anime Studio because they didn't want to apply their little credit card information in there for their studio. I think that was you that I had that conversation with, but it's on the Lost Marble forum. Green Law works for DreamWorks.
Okay.
Yeah. Or is contracted through them or whatever. But yeah, he basically was saying, and it was kind of very subtle. You could tell he was trying to be subtle about everything, but that was basically rejected. Okay, your studio, because they don't want to apply their information, and this is how we have our system ran. We can't help you out here. And that was for the free trial. Because as you remember, like the free trial versions, let's see what's going on here on the other side. Oh, the free trial versions require a credit card. Why? Type of thing. I mean, that's just a huge turnoff alone in itself. Like I teach a course on Udemy. Half my students are people that don't even use Anime Studio. They just see character design made easy, and then they see Anime Studio, and they're like, okay, cool, yeah, I'll check it out. And they purchase the course, and I say what is required. Well, that's usually the big pushback too, or what they later refund or whatever reason is because they're required to put their credit card information in for a trial. I don't know how that applies. I don't even know of any other software that does that. That was like a 90s thing back when identity theft wasn't a huge issue, I guess. But
it's true. But I think there's probably something that's gone around the curve a little bit where whether it's a good idea or not, I don't think it's a good idea. People are more used to doing it. And then it kind of sets up an account that it streamlines everything thereafter. But that's kind of like wishful thinking if you're still maybe a less established business or something like, well, you're just going to want to put in your credit card now so that once you see how awesome this is,
exactly,
automatically bill you. And it's like taking away a little bit of that trial period comfort that a lot of people have.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also think that there's something about this program that maybe attracts, I don't know, maybe a wider range of age groups.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some older hobbyists even. It's because of its usability and partly because it isn't industry standard and super expensive, that you wind up with some people who are interested in it maybe past the time that they would be jumping into, I mean, even just anything like 3D. Remember, you're not going to buy Maya if you're just a hobbyist trying to pick this up when you're older. And then people start using it and figure out what it can do, and they get excited. And that's some of the good stuff that's happening. But it's also, I don't know. Well, who was that? Was
so it was Green Law.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's somewhere down there in the I know the thread's kind of long itself, but it's close to the end where it was made mention. He's like, there was a guy on there. I don't remember who it was. He's like, oh crap, I just put the pieces together. You work for DreamWorks type of thing. And it's like, yep.
Right.
So, and that's where they kind of, I mean, and that's the thing too, because you got these kind of, I don't want to say like indie developers. That doesn't sound right. But you kind of got a small group of guys. I mean, Mike Clifton, his group of guys, and then you got scripters of the Lost Marble Forum. I don't know exactly how many people are on the team. I know it's under the Smith Micro umbrella, but like from here, I mean, it'll only get better from here as well. I'm pretty sure because Anime Studio Pro is still more aimed towards hobbyist type of thing. And I mean, it'll definitely get there to the points where you got your professional, and then you got, I don't know how they would do it, because I mean, debut is basically like a trial. I mean, I would not even use debut. I wouldn't even give it my money, because it's like, okay, exactly, debut is awful. Yeah, I mean, it gives you.
It don't have to be like a true, I don't know anything about this, or even if I'm interested in doing this, and play around with it as a software. But then I also don't know if you don't care enough about it at that point, what you're going to learn from debut that makes you think that you should upgrade, or you're going to wind up feeling like you wasted your money on debut to begin with because you needed it to do more.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that as a huge turnoff for people.
Yeah. That's pro. Well, that's why I wondered, like, unfortunately, I don't even know what they'd scale up to. Like, I'm not in a position to afford.
I don't want them to go up.
It's like,
fine with that.
That's true. But like, I don't think you could do like, well, they already have studio in the name, so it's not like animator debut, animator pro, animator something studio. We've already said it's professional. So this is probably, unless they, well, I don't know. Adobe's done it. They'll figure out some executive suite version.
And that's actually a scary conversation that I see come up a lot on Lost Marble Forum. Though it's true, it is pretty dang good for its value. I mean, it's still,
and the more people get it, I mean, and then really push it to its limits. The fact that there's that much information being shared so freely.
On the forum, you mean?
Well, yeah, tutorials, people just interacting with each other, that it's much more community based than a lot of things, and because it's small enough scale that even the developers are listening to it and working with it and incorporating that stuff back in, makes it, I mean, especially if you've been following it for a while and have ever pitched an idea, it starts to feel more powerful than maybe it is, because it's your ideas that are going into it. Because you're trying to cultivate how it's supposed to work. And I don't know, it's kind of an interesting crossroads too, because then if it becomes more ubiquitous as a program and everyone uses it, they can't listen to everyone. And they probably will get into more trouble if they steal other people's scripts and incorporate it in without giving a payoff. So, anyway, I don't know how long you guys are hanging out in here. I gotta step away for a moment at least, but be back in like 10 minutes if you guys will be here for a little while. Otherwise, I would probably sign off.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could call it good here.
Okay.
Yeah, I also got work up freaking 4:30 in the morning, but I mean, this is good as far as just, this is basically what I want to do. Like, I love Anime Studio. I live in Arizona. Nobody uses animation or Anime Studio for that matter, besides Tom Roth, but he goes to bed early. So I mean, it's good having these conversations for sure.
Well, I wind up in a place sometimes talking to some people, anyone basically who cares enough to listen, and then they're like, what, do you work for them or something? Why are you talking so big about this program?
I get that all the freaking time. People think I work for Anime Studio. I'm like, no.
I'm waiting for a check to come in the mail, but nothing so far.
Well, I make money teaching it, but nothing from Smith Micro yet. I don't plan on seeing anything. But yeah. No, I mean, we'll definitely have to do this again. This was good.
Right.
Yeah, Gary, you probably have to see if this is recorded. I don't know if it records it for sure, but if it does, it does? It keeps it recorded? Because I know it's recording right now. So it goes, it saves it. Very cool. All right. I hit record. There you go. But yeah, no, I guess we can call it a night here.
All right.
Sweet. All right. Well, yeah, I guess we'll just call it a night, and I mean, as far as the rest of this week, I'm pretty open for anything. So if you guys ever want to get on, I mean, I'll start one and just put it on the Facebook group, and we'll just see how it goes. But it's good talking with you guys.
All right, cool.
All right, sweet.